How many of my father's hand have you betrayed? Lord Stark? Lord Arryn? I am not a man who forgets, Maester. I'm quite good at revenge. Tyrion Lannister stands in Grand Maester Pycelle's chamber in Season 2, Episode 3, while Bronn holds a knife to the old man's beard. Pycelle is in bed, naked, terrified, his famous white beard about to be cut off as punishment for his betrayal. Moments ago, Pycelle was comfortable, confident, secure in his position as Grand Maester, a role he's held for over 40 years through multiple kings, multiple regime changes, multiple crises. Now he's begging, claiming he's been loyal to House Lannister, insisting he serves Tywin faithfully, desperately trying to salvage a situation that's already lost, because Tyrion just exposed him as the traitor on the small council. The spy feeding information to Cersei, the man who's been undermining Tyrion's authority since the moment he arrived in King's Landing as acting hand of the king. And Tyrion did it through one of the most brilliant political traps in Game of Thrones. He told 3 different stories to 3 different men, and waited to see which lie made it back to his sister. This scene showcases Tyrion Lannister's true power. Not his family name, not his wealth, not his position as hand, but his mind, his ability to outthink, outmaneuver, and control the 3 most dangerous men in King's Landing, without them realizing they're being played, until it's too late. In a court full of master manipulators like Varys and Littlefinger, Tyrion proves he's more dangerous than all of them, because while they play games, Tyrion rewrites the rules. Let's examine how Tyrion executes this perfect sting operation, what it reveals about his understanding of power, and why this scene demonstrates that the smallest man in Westeros is also the sharpest, surrounded by vipers. When Tyrion arrives in King's Landing as acting hand of the king, he inherits an impossible situation. Cersei hates him. His sister has been ruling as Queen Regent since Robert's death, and she sees Tyrion's appointment as their father Tywin undermining her authority. She wants him to fail, preferably to die. She's tried to have him killed before, and she'll try again. The city is preparing for war. Stannis Baratheon is coming with a massive fleet to take the Iron Throne. King's Landing is undermanned, undersupplied, and vulnerable. Tyrion needs to prepare defenses, gather allies, and somehow survive a siege that will determine the fate of the realm. The small council is full of professional survivors. Lord Varys, the Spider, knows everything that happens in the 7 kingdoms through his network of informants. Pettier Baelish, called Littlefinger, controls the crown's finances and has his own spies everywhere. Grand Maester Pycelle has served as the crown's advisor for 40 years, surviving Robert's rebellion, the reign of the Mad King, and multiple changes of power. These men are not loyal servants. They're players in the Game of Thrones, looking out for themselves first and the realm second. Someone is leaking information to Cersei. Every decision Tyrion makes, every plan he considers, somehow reaches his sister before he can execute it. She knows things she shouldn't know. Someone on the small council is betraying him, feeding information to Cersei to undermine his authority. Most new hands would investigate directly, question servants, search chambers, follow suspicious people, try to catch the spy through traditional means. But Tyrion knows that in a court of professional liars, direct investigation reveals nothing. Everyone will deny everything, evidence will disappear, loyalties will be hidden. So instead of searching for the traitor, Tyrion decides to make the traitor reveal himself voluntarily. To create a situation where the spy exposes his identity by doing exactly what he's supposed to do, report to Cersei. This is the essence of Tyrion's genius. He doesn't just solve problems. He engineers situations where problems solve themselves. The Sting Operation. 3 men, 3 stories. Tyrion's trap is brilliant in its simplicity. He meets with each member of the small council privately, one at a time. He discusses the same topic with all 3, Princess Myrcella's future. But he tells each man a different version of his plan. Each conversation feels intimate, confidential, important. Tyrion swears each man to secrecy, emphasizing that Cersei cannot know about these discussions. He's creating the perfect conditions for a leak, giving them information Cersei would desperately want to know, and explicitly forbidding them from telling her. To Grand Maester Pycelle. Tyrion proposes sending Princess Myrcella to Dorne to marry Prince Trystane Martell. This would heal the long-standing rift between the Lannisters and the Martells, a wound created when Gregor Clegane murdered Princess Elia Martell and her children during Robert's rebellion. I'm sending her to Dorne to marry Prince Trystane Martell. But I need you to send a raven to Sunspear. No one can know, not even the Queen. Pycelle nods gravely. He understands the political value. He promises discretion. He assures Tyrion that the Queen will never hear of this. To Lord Varys, Tyrion proposes marrying Myrcella to Theon Greyjoy, or his brother, securing an alliance with the Iron Islands. This would potentially end the Greyjoy rebellion and bring the Ironborn fleet to King's Landing's defense against Stannis. Varys listens with his characteristic careful attention. He doesn't commit to supporting the plan, but he doesn't object. He absorbs the information, promises to consider it, and glides away. Tyrion emphasizes, the Queen cannot know about this. To pettier Baelish Littlefinger, Tyrion proposes marrying Myrcella to Lord Robin Arryn, the young Lord of the Vale. This would secure the Vale's support, or at least neutrality, bringing fresh troops and resources that could save King's Landing from Stannis' siege. Littlefinger is intrigued. He agrees to travel to the Vale himself to negotiate the match. In exchange, Tyrion offers him Harrenhal, one of the largest castles in Westeros. Again, Tyrion stresses, Cersei must not hear of this. 3 conversations, 3 different marriage proposals, 3 men sworn to secrecy. Now Tyrion just has to wait and see which story makes it back to Cersei. The reveal. Cersei takes the bait. It doesn't take long. That same day, Cersei storms into Tyrion's chambers, her face twisted with fury. She doesn't knock. She doesn't wait for permission. She barges in, radiating rage. You will not marry Myrcella to that Dornish prince, not Theon Greyjoy, not Ruggan Arryn, Prince Trystane Martell of Dorne. The exact plan Tyrion told only to Grand Maester Pycelle. Tyrion keeps his face carefully neutral, but inside he's celebrating. The trap worked perfectly. Pycelle betrayed him within hours, running to Cersei with the information Tyrion specifically told him to keep secret. Cersei continues raging. Myrcella is her daughter. Tyrion has no right to make decisions about her future. She won't allow her child sent away to Dorne of all places, the home of the Martells, who hate the Lannisters for what happened to Elia. But Tyrion barely listens. He's already won. He's identified the leak. Now he just needs to deal with it. The confrontation. Stripping away the mask. That night, Tyrion, Bronn, and Timett, one of the hill tribesmen Tyrion brought from the Vale, burst into Pycelle's chamber. The Grand Maester is in bed with a prostitute, Daisy, one of the women at Littlefinger's brothel. He's naked, vulnerable, caught completely off guard. The scene is designed to humiliate. Pycelle, who presents himself as the dignified advisor to kings, is exposed as just another man paying for sex. His carefully maintained image of propriety crumbles instantly. Pycelle immediately starts denying everything. No, never. It's a falsehood. I swear it. It wasn't me. Ah, Varys. It was Varys. The spider. He's panicking. Throwing out Varys' name as a distraction, trying to deflect blame onto someone else. But Tyrion is calm, methodical. He explains the trap with perfect clarity. See, I told Varys that I was giving the princess to the Greyjoys. I told Littlefinger I planned to wed her to Robin Arryn. I told no one that I was offering her to the Dornish. No one but you. The logic is inescapable. Pycelle has condemned himself with Cersei's own words. There's no way out, no excuse he can make, no lie he can tell. Pycelle tries anyway. He falls back on his decades of service to House Lannister. I've always served the Lannisters, I swear. And this is when Tyrion delivers the line that cuts deeper than any blade. How many hands have you betrayed, Pycelle? Eddard Stark? Jon Arryn? This is the moment Tyrion reveals he understands exactly what Pycelle is. Not just a traitor to Tyrion personally, but a serial betrayer. A man who has spent decades serving himself while pretending to serve the realm. Jon Arryn, Robert Baratheon's first hand of the king, who discovered the truth about Joffrey's parentage and was mysteriously poisoned before he could reveal it. Pycelle was his advisor, his confidant, and potentially complicit in his death. Eddard Stark, Robert's second hand, who also discovered the truth about Joffrey. Pycelle didn't directly betray Ned, but he didn't help him either. When Ned was arrested and sentenced to death, Pycelle stood by silently, serving whoever held power. And now Tyrion, Tywin's son, acting hand of the king, trying to save King's Landing from Stannis' siege, and Pycelle betrayed him within hours of being given confidential information. Tyrion is cataloging Pycelle's crimes, showing him that his betrayal isn't new. It's a pattern, a lifetime of serving power rather than people, of choosing survival over loyalty, of betraying every hand who trusted him. Then Tyrion adds the threat that makes Pycelle truly understand his situation. I am not a man who forgets, Maester. I'm quite good at revenge. This isn't just about punishment. It's about establishing dominance. Tyrion is showing Pycelle, and through him, everyone else in King's Landing, that the new hand of the king is not someone to underestimate. He's small. He's a dwarf. People have mocked him his entire life. But he's more dangerous than any of them, because he's smarter, because he sees through their games, because he can manipulate them as easily as they've tried to manipulate him. And to punctuate this point, Tyrion gives Bronn the order. Cut off his beard. Bronn steps forward with his knife. Pycelle screams and begs, but it doesn't matter. Bronn grabs the famous white beard, the symbol of Pycelle's age, wisdom, and authority, and cuts it off. It's not just punishment. It's humiliation. It's stripping away Pycelle's carefully constructed image of dignity and revealing the pathetic, self-serving man underneath. Then Tyrion has Pycelle thrown into the black cells, the dungeons beneath the Red Keep, where traitors and criminals await judgment. The message is clear. Tyrion Lannister is not to be trifled with. Cross him, and you'll lose everything that makes you who you are. What the scene reveals about Tyrion's power. This entire sequence, from the trap to the confrontation to the punishment, demonstrates several crucial aspects of Tyrion's true power. He understands people completely. Tyrion knew exactly which of the three men would betray him. Not through guesswork, but through understanding their characters. Varys is too careful, too strategic. He wouldn't rush to Cersei with information. He'd wait, calculate, see how it could benefit him most. Littlefinger is ambitious and self-interested, but he doesn't serve Cersei. He serves himself. He wouldn't run to her unless it advanced his own plans. But Pycelle has spent his entire career attaching himself to whoever holds power. And right now, in Pycelle's mind, Cersei holds more real power than Tyrion. She's the Queen Regent. She's the mother of the king. She's been ruling King's Landing while Tywin fought Robb Stark. So Pycelle's instinct is to serve her, to curry favor with her, to protect his position by giving her what she wants, information about what her brother is planning. Tyrion understood this psychology perfectly. He knew Pycelle would betray him. The trap was just a way to prove it publicly. He plans multiple steps ahead. Most people would stop at identifying the traitor, but Tyrion's trap serves multiple purposes. It identifies Pycelle as the leak, solving his immediate problem. It sends a message to everyone in King's Landing that Tyrion is smarter than they think. Word of this trap will spread. People will know that the new hand successfully outmaneuvered three of the most powerful men in the city. It removes Pycelle from the small council, eliminating Cersei's source of information and weakening her political position. It demonstrates to Varys and Littlefinger that Tyrion is someone to take seriously. They weren't the traitors this time, but they know now that Tyrion is watching them, testing them, always thinking several moves ahead. It establishes Tyrion's authority in a way that mere threats never could. He didn't just punish Pycelle, he outfought him, trapped him, and humiliated him. That's more intimidating than violence. He uses psychology as a weapon. The trap works because Tyrion understands what each man wants and fears. Varys wants information and influence. Tyrion gives him information and watches what he does with it. Littlefinger wants advancement and power. Tyrion offers him Harrenhal and watches whether that's enough to buy his loyalty. It is, for now. Pycelle wants security and favor from those in power. Tyrion exploits this by making him think he's gaining Tyrion's trust, while actually setting him up for exposure. He's willing to be ruthless. Tyrion doesn't just expose Pycelle, he humiliates him publicly, strips him of his dignity literally, by cutting his beard, and throws him in a dungeon. This isn't just about justice. It's about sending a message. Betray me, and I'll destroy not just your position, but your very identity. This ruthlessness surprises people because Tyrion is also capable of mercy and kindness. But here, he shows he can be as cold and calculating as his father Tywin when necessary. The deeper implications: who Pycelle really betrayed. What makes Tyrion's accusation even more devastating is the implication about Pycelle's past betrayals. Jon Arryn was Hand of the King under Robert Baratheon. He discovered that Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen were not Robert's children, but products of incest between Cersei and Jaime. This discovery would have destroyed House Lannister and changed the entire succession. Jon Arryn died mysteriously before he could reveal this truth. He was poisoned, officially from a sudden illness, but suspiciously convenient for the Lannisters. Pycelle was Jon Arryn's Grand Maester. He would have treated Jon during his final illness. He would have been one of the few people with access to poison Jon. Did Pycelle poison Jon Arryn, or did he simply fail to save him when he could have? Did he allow Jon to die because it served the Lannisters? Tyrion doesn't directly accuse Pycelle of murder, but by asking how many hands have you betrayed and naming Jon Arryn first, he's planting that seed. He's making Pycelle, and anyone who hears the story later, think about what role Pycelle played in Jon Arryn's death. Eddard Stark was Robert's second hand. He also discovered the truth about Joffrey's parentage. He confronted Cersei, giving her a chance to flee before he told Robert. But Robert died killed by a boar during a hunt, possibly because Lancel Lannister, at Cersei's instruction, gave him too much wine. And when Ned tried to peacefully transfer power to Stannis as Robert's legitimate heir, he was arrested. Pycelle didn't help Ned. He didn't speak up for him in the small council. He didn't try to prevent Joffrey from executing him. He just let it happen. Again, not direct betrayal, but complicity. Silence when he could have spoken. Service to power rather than justice. By naming both Jon Arryn and Ned Stark, Tyrion is revealing a pattern. Pycelle isn't just a spy for Cersei. He's a man who has spent decades enabling the powerful while betraying anyone who threatened that power. And now Tyrion is making sure Pycelle understands that pattern ends here. Because Tyrion isn't like Jon Arryn or Ned Stark. He's not honorable and trusting. He's clever and ruthless, and he won't be betrayed without consequences. Why this scene matters more than you think. On the surface, this scene is about catching a spy, but it's actually about establishing Tyrion as a legitimate power in King's Landing. When Tyrion arrives as Hand, no one takes him seriously. He's Tywin's youngest son. He's a dwarf. He's never held real power before. People assume he's a placeholder, that Cersei will continue running things, that he's not a real threat. This scene changes that perception completely. To the small council, Tyrion just outmaneuvered all of them simultaneously. Varys and Littlefinger both passed his test, but they know now that he's testing them. They know he's watching. They know he's smarter than they expected. This forces them to take him seriously, to be more careful, to treat him as a genuine player in the game rather than a temporary inconvenience. To Cersei, Tyrion just cut off her source of information and proved he can operate without her knowing his plans. She thought she had eyes and ears in the small council. Now she knows Tyrion is aware of her spying and has eliminated it. This weakens her position significantly. To the city, word spreads about how the new Hand caught a traitor through brilliant deception. The story of the 3 different marriage proposals becomes legend. People start to see Tyrion not as the drunken dwarf, but as a clever strategist who can't be fooled. To himself. This is Tyrion proving to himself that he belongs in this role. He spent his life being underestimated and mocked. Now he's demonstrating that his intelligence makes him more dangerous than people twice his size. This victory gives him confidence that he can handle the challenges ahead. The contrast with other players. Compare Tyrion's approach to how other characters handle similar situations. Ned Stark trusted people at face value. When Littlefinger and Varys gave him advice, he assumed they were serving the realm. When Cersei swore things to him, he believed her. This trust got him killed. Cersei assumes everyone is her enemy and tries to control them through fear and threats. But this approach creates actual enemies and drives away potential allies. Her paranoia becomes self-fulfilling. Littlefinger manipulates people through lies and schemes. But his approach is so complex that even his allies don't fully trust him. He's powerful, but isolated. Varys gathers information but rarely acts directly. He influences events from the shadows, but avoids taking visible power for himself. Tyrion uses intelligence and psychology to outthink his opponents, while still maintaining relationships. He's ruthless when necessary, but not needlessly cruel. He punishes Pycelle but doesn't execute him. He tests Varys and Littlefinger, but doesn't alienate them. He establishes dominance without creating unnecessary enemies. This balance, being smart enough to win, ruthless enough to be feared, but measured enough to avoid making everyone hate you, is what makes Tyrion so effective. The price of being the smartest, but there's a cost to this kind of intelligence. Tyrion's trap worked because he understands people. He knows Pycelle is a coward who serves power. He knows Varys is cautious and calculating. He knows Littlefinger is ambitious and self-interested. But this understanding also isolates him. Because when you see people this clearly, when you understand their flaws and motivations so completely, it's hard to truly trust anyone. Tyrion can't have friends on the small council. He can only have assets and threats. People he can use, or people he needs to watch. This scene shows Tyrion at his most brilliant, but it also shows the beginning of his loneliness. He's winning the game, but he's playing it alone. The legacy of this scene. This trap becomes legendary in the Game of Thrones fandom, because it's one of the clearest examples of Tyrion's genius in action. It's not him giving a great speech, though he does that too. It's not him fighting in battle, though he does that. It's not him using his family name or money or position. It's just pure intelligence, pure strategy, seeing a problem, engineering an elegant solution, and executing it perfectly. And what makes it so satisfying is that it's completely earned. Tyrion doesn't win through luck or deus ex machina. He wins because he's smarter than everyone around him and willing to use that intelligence ruthlessly. This is Tyrion Lannister's true power. Not his name, not his wealth, not even his wit and charm. His mind, his ability to see through people, predict their behavior, manipulate situations, and stay 3 steps ahead of everyone else. In a world where power usually comes from swords and armies, Tyrion proves that the sharpest weapon is intelligence. And in this scene, he wields it perfectly. The final truth. How many hands have you betrayed, Pycelle? Eddard Stark, Jon Arryn. I am not a man who forgets, Maester. I'm quite good at revenge. This confrontation is the moment Tyrion Lannister announces himself as a true player in the Game of Thrones. Not through violence, not through birthright, but through pure, devastating intelligence. He outthinks 3 of the most dangerous men in Westeros simultaneously. He exposes a traitor who thought he was safe. He sends a message that echoes through King's Landing. The dwarf hand is not to be underestimated. This is Tyrion at his peak. This is his true power on full display, and it's terrifying. Because Tyrion isn't just smart, he's smart enough to make you betray yourself without even realizing you're doing it. Pycelle thought he was doing his duty by reporting to Cersei. He walked into the trap willingly, thinking he was being loyal, never suspecting he was being tested. That's the mark of true genius, making people destroy themselves while thinking they're doing the right thing. This scene showed Tyrion Lannister's true power, not the power to rule through fear, but the power to control through understanding. And in the Game of Thrones, that's the most dangerous power of all.